You hold it up.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, everybody. This is Alex and Mavi from Re-Envision Harmony. Good afternoon, good evening, right? We're on evening time?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So this is our first ever CommuniTea. Obviously, we're doing a little tea talk here, everybody. This is our opportunity to kind of bring up topics, things that have happened to us throughout the week, and see if maybe it applies to you. So this is going to be the first of several, so keep your eyes open. We're going to do it weekly, hopefully every Sunday. We're aiming for every Sunday. Give you a little tea after our little brunch. So, did you want to talk about what sort of happened this week? We had a situation, sort of.
So we're spilling the tea about different community issues, and of course, if you don't know what Re-Envision Harmony is, we're a racial equity training firm. So we not only teach about the history of racism, but we also teach about racial harmony, and that's why we're called Re-Envision Harmony. But we also talk about other forms of oppression and how we can build a more equitous future.
Right.
So this series that we want to start with these lives is to talk about the different things that happen, to everyone, when trying to, interact with others, with society, people in their lives, and how to navigate through those. Right. So we have a little story about what happened Sunday.
Yeah,
you can tell the story. Go ahead.
We'll give you the tea about what happened with us. So, we had a mutual acquaintance that, we spend time together, and this person approached us, starting the conversation with. So I walked into the store and encountered a Muslim guy, and the minute he started that conversation, Mavi, in perfect form, as we try to handle people, tell people to do in order to support and advocate for yourself, she said right off the bat, you know what, if you're gonna go there, maybe you should stop that conversation, because anytime you start with I walked into a room and there was a Muslim, you're already ready for something that's going to be highly oppressive. And his reaction was very stuttery and, no, it really wasn't that. And
it really was a story. It's about another language.
Right.
It applies.
Yeah, he said something like, oh, no, it's just because I wanted to talk about, because he was speaking another language. And as much as she tried to point out that I feel like what you're going to say is really oppressive and I'm trying to stop you right now, he found some way to still finagle and, hit home his point, which, of course, ended up being very more than uncomfortable, but very oppressive to both of us.
Yeah, it was just very offensive what he said. It was a very off-colored joke.
Right.
And that's the topic of today is it okay to, use ethnicities or people's cultural backgrounds for humor, because so much of humor is based on, this white guy, this black guy, this Muslim person, or, a Jew, a this and a that, walk into a bar. So many jokes are based on that.
Right.
So it's very hard to, and I'm sorry, this is our first time, so we're trying all kinds of technical, so sorry for the swerving. I'm going to do kind of offset like this so I can put it on my light. Oh, it says rotate my phone. It's not letting me do that. Anyway, so, but basically, so much of our humor is based on somebody's identity, basically. And it takes work to be funny without being offensive.
Exactly.
Right? And you can still be offensive personally to people and make it funny, I think. You can even still do that and have that very dark comedy without necessarily having to go into people's ethnicity or their identity or their body, not shaming their body.
Right.
Oppressive, like you said.
And I have to say there is a difference, because I'm sure, we'll probably get certain things comedians do it and it's in stand-up and things like that. And I feel like there's a really large range of a learning curve there, especially when it comes to that. But honestly, I'm trying to focus on day-to-day interactions. True. I feel like there's a difference, because when you go to a comedy show, I think you're prepared on some level for some really maybe oppressive jokes, because that's just what we know. We've seen that for many, many years. But when you're one-on-one with somebody, especially, like I said, this was an acquaintance, so you don't know this person.
Right.
You don't know what they're going to be okay with or not okay with. I think you gotta think about that before you decide to throw an off-color joke like that. And especially if the person is telling you, I don't think I'm going to be comfortable with this, so you should probably stop. You know, it's important to really respect somebody's boundaries, especially when they're clear about them.
Yeah, and that brings up a good point. I mean, I wouldn't want to go to a comedian's show and support it if the comedy was based on any kind of, you know, racial undertones, or if it's sexist, but I'm, you know, very fundamentalist about it. Alex is a little bit more chill about it. And of course that's up to your personal preference, but do know that your dollars are supporting that. However, yeah, that's another topic for another community. But yeah, how do we encounter, when we're encountering that on our day-to-day lives, like, how do we talk about it? How we confront it? And really, I've already trained myself to be much more forceful, I think, because we've been doing this work for a little bit, and I think that it comes up so much that we are kind of already trained to do this. However, what we tell the people that are trained in our seminars, you know, how to confront racism on a day-to-day basis, what we say is, what do you mean by that?
Yes.
And you could stop them in sentence, like I did. You know, he said, a Muslim guy walked in, and I said, and you just say, what do you mean by that?
Right.
And that'll make them reevaluate what they're saying. Like, they're going to have to go back and repeat Muslim guy, and why are they saying that? And then if you have to follow up with a question because they're insisting, like this guy, you might have to say, why are you saying that?
Right.
You know, why are we going to take it to you know, to be about race, basically? Or, you know, do you realize the impact of your words is another one.
Exactly.
What other things do you think we could say?
I think I actually want to say more about your own mentality and how you think. Because for me, I think it's important to realize you've been through these situations before, and you know that feeling of being uncomfortable, and sometimes we're just so used to pushing through it. Your instinct is probably to say, okay, let me just get through this joke so I can move on with my day, and that's not okay. So I think that's important, is first to be in touch with that feeling and say, you don't have to accept that, you don't have to sit through that. True. And then you don't have to be a jerk to, you know, make this whole big speech, but you know you can make that boundary for yourself. I think for me that's the most important, because that's what I find happens to me most often than not. I'm so used to just dealing with uncomfortable situations and pushing through them that I don't always feel okay just stopping it and saying no. And it's very okay to say no. So you can say something, you know, that's perfect. What did you mean by that? Or you can really say, you know what, I don't know if I'm going to be comfortable with what you're about to say. Can we maybe talk about something else? Because I don't know if I'm going to find that funny. Maybe we have a different kind of humor.
You know, this story and this discussion actually reminded me that another thing happened this week. I was in a similar, you know, community space, and somebody asked in the room, oh, what is the difference between, like, I think it was select and choose? And then the punchline of the joke was, oh, you know, selections is like, you know, you pick from this and that, and choose is what Latinos wear on their feet.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this person is telling me and my husband this joke. So, of course, we're fluent in English. You know, our English is pretty good. So, you know, we've been here for a long time. But obviously, you know, it's a sore spot right now for a lot of people, you know, struggling to speak multiple languages that are migrating here. Like, the whole immigrant conversation is so raw right now for you to bring that joke up thinking it's funny. Right. And by the way, this is a person, you know, from the Caribbean who has an accent themselves that, of course, is completely acceptable in Trinidad, but here he might even be, you know, the punchline of a joke too. Yeah, so it's just people are disconnected even with the ways that their own jokes oppress them. But my response, which was really uncomfortable because my husband didn't agree with it, but I said, I don't find that funny.
Right.
I don't find that funny at all. Right. Like, oh, my Cuban friends found it funny was their response, and I said, well, I'm Colombian and I don't find it funny. So, you know, it's never going to be comfortable to confront these things. Right. But what I think we should do is start getting more comfortable with the discomfort of the work of dismantling places and spaces that aren't safe for everyone.
Exactly.
You know, because if we're not the disruptors of unsafe spaces, then who? And if we don't do it now, when?
Right.
I mean, we've been putting this conversation off for a long time, and unfortunately, we are so concerned with being kind and nice and keeping the peace that we're falling into something we call in our trainings groupthink, which means that everybody is thinking equally, but half of us are uncomfortable or going home in tears or having to have tea with our friends to, you know, decompress and unpack. And that's fine because human interaction is, you know,
necessary.
You know, it's part of it.
Yeah.
But no, like, we need to start disrupting these spaces and being less afraid of being called unnice for it, right? Because what's more unnice? Oppression? Or pushing back and like saying that's not
okay. Yeah, someone's, you know, temporary discomfort for your long-term mental well-being. I think that's an easy choice. And one thing I really want to make clear is that the point is, just in the example she showed, her and her husband both experienced the same thing and had different feelings about it.
Yeah.
The reality is we're all very different about what's okay and what's not okay. And what we're teaching is take the time to find that out.
Yeah.
Most people just kind of blanket and cross over everybody and just don't want to take the time. It's too exhausting, or they don't want to put the work in. Take the time to get to know the person who's sitting across from you. That's really the point of our work. And that's what empathy is about. Really understanding who's sitting in front of you. So when I'm speaking, you understand, and I don't impact you in a very negative way.
Right. That's beautiful. Thanks, Alex.
Yeah.
And I guess
that's
it for this first CommuniTea Facebook Live.
Yeah.
We hope that we have these discussions every week and that we build, you know, an audience through this medium so that we can start having like interaction with you all. Answering questions. If you have any ideas on what kinds of topics you'd like us to discuss together and have some tea over, let us know.
Don't forget to like our page if you haven't already.
Yep.
And please comment if you, I know this was a random live right now, but feel free to comment and keep this discussion going, because I'd love to hear what some of your thoughts are or some of your experiences have been with something like this.
Yeah, same here. And then also look out for our Facebook page, because this year we're going to start the series of actual CommuniTea, where we're going to have a series of high tea discussions where we're just over crumpets and sandwiches.
Cucumber sandwiches, yes.
No, nothing hoity-toity if you don't want it to be. Like, we are going to custom make these CommuniTea discussions centered around the communities that we're serving, and we want to come to your community. So if you want to host a CommuniTea, let us know. If you'd like to attend one, please send us a message.
Definitely.
And you know, there will be some already posted. I'm going to try to host one really soon. And so once the first one goes up, you have an idea for what it looks like, what it feels like, and then you can decide for yourself if you want to be part of that. There's also open trainings coming up for the entire community to come. We've had last year, we kind of dwindled off and we only were able to do one open training, but we're committing this year to try to do at least 4 or 5 this year so that everyone can come in. It's not just, you know, when we're hired to do it privately for organizations or corporations or schools or PTAs or whatever.
Exactly.
So it's been awesome, and you know, peace out, and let's build harmony together.
Bye, guys.
CommuniTea.